If you're reading this, it's not by accident. The universe recognizes your readiness, not because you've checked every box, not because you've done everything right, but because something deep within you, beyond logic, beyond thought, has come into alignment. You didn't happen upon these words by chance. You were magnetized here by frequency, not fate. And whether you're fully aware of it or not, you've already crossed a threshold, one that moves you from waiting into becoming. You've felt it, haven't you? That subtle restlessness, like you're standing on the brink of something undefined, like life has been trying to tell you something, but the message has been just out of reach. You've done the vision boards, whispered affirmations, poured your heart into journals. You've looked for signs, pleaded for guidance, and sat quietly, wondering if anything would ever shift. But here's the truth the universe needs you to remember now. You were never being overlooked. You were being made ready. Readiness isn't a calendar event. It's not measured in time. It's measured in frequency. The universe doesn't respond to your to-do list, your desires, or your deadlines. It answers to your vibration. And now, something in your vibration is beginning to change. You may not see it outwardly yet, but the signals are surfacing. A stillness beneath the noise, a calm confidence replacing the chase, a sense of inner ease softening the old urgency. You were never late. You were being recalibrated. What felt like delay wasn't denial, it was alignment. Every pause was not punishment, it was preparation. Every unanswered longing was the universe's way of whispering, not yet, because you're here to do more than just receive. You're here to become. There's a sacred silence that always arrives before transformation, an emptiness that seems hollow, but beneath it, something is reweaving, something wise, something ancient. That's what you've been sensing, not stagnation, but synchronization. What you called waiting has actually been incubation, a cocoon, the sacred space of your next emergence, and it opens only when the energy within you matches the life you've been calling in. That's why you haven't felt fully ready until now. Most people don't realize this. Energy is the gatekeeper, not your ambition, not your checklist, your energy. And you can't force your way into the right vibration. You must become it. You must remember it. And if this message is reaching you in this moment, it's because a shift has occurred. Your frequency has changed. You are no longer aligned with the version of you who tried to manifest from fear, from lack, from urgency. You are stepping into the embodiment of someone who knows alignment already exists, who no longer chases because they're ready to receive. But let's be clear, this isn't passivity. It's not about doing nothing. It's about becoming so energetically aligned that what's meant for you can find you without friction. That's true readiness, not struggle, not striving, but harmony, integrity. When your thoughts, emotions, self-image, and beliefs are resonating in unison, that's when the gates unlock. Because the universe isn't withholding from you, it's holding your dreams in trust until your vibration matches. And now you're rising to meet it. You feel it in the clarity of your intuition. You recognize it in the synchronicities, the numbers, the signs, the patterns that feel too precise to be coincidence. These aren't flukes, they're confirmations, echoes from the unseen saying, it's happening. You were never stuck. You were syncing, aligning with the frequency of a life that's always been yours. The universe wasn't saying no, it was saying soon. And now, soon is turning into now. If you're still scanning your reality, wondering why you haven't seen it yet, don't let appearances fool you. The shift always begins invisibly, below the surface, like roots weaving beneath the earth before a sprout ever breaks ground. And by the time you see the change, it's already well underway. That's what real readiness feels like. Quiet, gentle, but unmistakable. You're not anxious, you're composed. You're not desperate, you're centered. You're not grasping for more, you're sensing it's already on its way. Because it is. Readiness isn't about certainty, it's about coherence. And right now, your coherence is syncing with a higher reality. That's why you felt the pull to let go of old patterns, of outdated identities. Not because you're broken, but because you're making space, clearing the static for the next frequency of your evolution. This is sacred work, and the reason it's taken time is because you've been healing places you didn't even know were fractured. Inherited beliefs, conditioned responses, old wounds disguised as discipline, fear masked as motivation. But now, all of that is unraveling. And what remains is you, the real you. The you that remembers who you were before the world convinced you otherwise. The you that no longer strives, but allows. The you that doesn't pursue, but magnetizes. The you that doesn't plead for a breakthrough, but becomes one. If you're hearing this now, it's not because you're about to be ready. It's because you already are. And the universe knows. You've probably asked yourself, why hasn't it happened yet? Why does it feel like you've been doing everything right and still no breakthrough? But the truth is, nothing was ever withheld. It was simply waiting for you to vibrate in alignment with it. That might sting at first, because we're taught that effort equals results. Work harder, try more, be tougher. And when it doesn't work, we turn the blame inward. Maybe we're not enough. Maybe we're unworthy. But that's a lie. The truth is, manifestation doesn't unfold through pressure. It arrives through presence. You don't attract your desires by forcing them into being. You attract them by becoming the version of yourself who already lives them. That's the paradox. The moment you release the grip is the moment things begin to align. That's why so many breakthroughs come right after surrender. Not because someone gave up, but because they let go. They stopped pushing. They dropped the fear. They released the illusion of control, and their vibration shifted. Think back. Can you recall a time when something came to you effortlessly? A job, a love, a moment that felt guided. What were you feeling then? You weren't grasping. You weren't panicked. You were likely focused on something simple, something that brought you joy or peace. And then, the very thing you once longed for arrived. That wasn't coincidence. That was alignment. It was the universe responding not to effort, but to energy. And that's the shift happening inside you now. You're releasing the inner resistance that's been tethered to the energy of not yet. Because when you radiate from a place of need, you broadcast absence, and the universe, always precise, reflects that. But when you whisper, I trust, I release, I'm whole as I am, your signal transforms, and life begins to respond. This is what alignment means. Not to strive, but to synchronize. Not to force, but to flow. Not to chase, but to attract. Because manifesting isn't about earning, it's about attuning. And here's the truth. You're already doing it. Right now. You're not reading this because you're searching. You're receiving. This isn't just a message, it's a mirror. And what it's showing you is who you're becoming. You're not late. You're right on divine time. Even if the world says otherwise, even if your mind argues, your soul knows what your intellect forgets. Timing isn't about the clock, it's about codes. And those inner codes are activating. Everything that once felt stuck is beginning to shift. Not because you forced your way through, but because you surrendered into who you really are. You stopped asking when and started embodying now. You stopped pretending to be someone else and started becoming more of yourself. That pivot from effort to embodiment is the portal. And yes, it's subtle, quiet. It doesn't arrive with noise or fanfare. It arrives as peace, as ease, as knowing. It shows up when you say, I'm done chasing the future. I'm living the vibration of it now. In that choice, you become the living blueprint of everything you've asked for. People confuse surrender with giving up, but real surrender is the most potent alignment there is. It says to the universe, I no longer plead for what's already mine. I know it's finding me. And the universe recalibrates. It rearranges people, moments, timelines until it meets you. What once seemed impossible begins to unfold with grace. That's why transformation stories often sound alike. I let go, I stopped trying, and it came. These aren't rare, they're templates, because action without alignment breeds resistance. But surrender infused with belief opens doors. You're not meant to force your destiny into being. You're meant to attune to it, to live it inwardly before it arrives outwardly, to become the match. This is the sacred truth. Your external world doesn't move by action alone. It shifts by the energy that powers it. You can do all the right things, but if you do them from fear or desperation, the results will echo that. But when your actions flow from joy, trust, and clarity, quantum shifts become possible. Right now, the universe isn't waiting on your next strategy. It's waiting on your signal. And that signal is stronger than ever. You may not see the full manifestation yet, but the current has changed. You've shifted from striving into receiving, from waiting into welcoming. And that's why you're here. Because whether your mind has caught up or not, Your soul already knows. You're not searching for a sign. You are the sign. Have you ever noticed how just before something truly life-shifting unfolds, everything goes still? You're not moving ahead, not falling behind, just suspended, waiting, watching, wondering if anything's really happening. And that stillness, it can feel unsettling. But what if I told you, this silence isn't punishment? It's a message, not a mark of delay, but of divine preparation. We live in a world obsessed with momentum, always moving, always producing, always proving worth through motion. And in that noise, we forget that transformation doesn't only bloom through action. It also unfolds in quiet. Sometimes, only in quiet. The universe speaks in whispers. And if life has felt hushed lately, inside you or around you, it doesn't mean you've been left behind. It means you're being realigned. You're standing in the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And that space is potent. It's the threshold, the dissolve of what was, the incubation of what will be. It's the womb, the void, the chrysalis. And it's not a place to rush through, it's a space to honor. Because right there in the pause, you're not being asked to do more. You're being asked to become more. To sit in your own presence. To hear the echoes of your soul that got lost in the noise. To allow everything you've taken in, every truth, every insight, to settle not just in your mind, but in your body. Maybe you've read the books, listened to the teachings, gathered wisdom like sacred seeds. But have you given yourself room to embody what you've absorbed? That's the gift of the pause. It's the universe gently saying, before I expand your world, let me expand you. And that expansion doesn't come from striving. It rises from stillness, from breathing deeply, from hearing the silence between your thoughts, from surrendering the need to know and realizing the knowing already lives within you. Eckhart Tolle once said, stillness is where creativity and solutions to problems are found. And it's true. Some of your most profound breakthroughs won't come from effort, but from presence. From being with yourself long enough to hear the wisdom your soul has been whispering all along. That's why stillness matters. That's why things haven't moved yet. Not to punish you, but to invite you into deeper listening. And in that listening, something softens. Your body exhales. Your heartbeat aligns with truth again. Your mind stops scrambling and begins to receive. You start remembering your essence, stripped of the static. This isn't emptiness, it's gestation. And yes, it can feel dark. Yes, it can feel like nothingness. But what if this darkness is sacred ground? Like rich soil guarding a sprouting seed. Like the night sky embracing stars. Like the pause between breaths reminding you you're still here. Lao Tzu once asked, do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? This isn't idleness, it's timing. Divine, deliberate timing. It's about letting your next step emerge not from fear, but from clarity. That's why you've been guided to this moment, not to doubt yourself, but to reroot in your truth. You're not behind, you're not lost. You're standing exactly where you need to be, at the edge of one life and the birth of another. Stillness can be uncomfortable. It brings everything up, the fears, the insecurities, the questions you've avoided. But even that is sacred. It's not rising to defeat you. It's rising to be healed, seen, held, released. Stillness is the portal back to yourself. It reminds you your worth isn't tied to your output. Your value doesn't rise with your pace. Your energy is sacred, even when it's quiet, especially when it's quiet. Because in that silence, you stop broadcasting lack and begin vibrating truth. When you stop gripping, your frequency rises. When you stop chasing time, your essence surfaces. And when that essence comes forward, your reality transforms. So if life has felt slow, uncertain, paused, it's not the end. It's the beginning beneath the surface. It's not the time to push. It's the time to deepen, to rest fuller, to breathe softer, to surrender more fully, to trust more completely. Because right now, you're becoming someone who no longer fears the pause, who no longer rushes the unfolding, who no longer equates quiet with failure. You're becoming someone who recognizes stillness as sacred. So take this moment, breathe into it, stop searching for what's next, and start receiving what is. Because when you honor what's here, what's meant for you naturally flows in. Imagine your life as a radio. You're tuning the dial, seeking the right frequency. Some channels come through with static, some feel off-key, and then you land on one that's clear, aligned, perfect, was always there. You just hadn't matched it yet. That's how the universe works. What you're asking for, love, clarity, abundance, healing, it's not being withheld. It's being streamed constantly. But if your internal frequency isn't tuned to receive it, it stays out of reach. And here's the part we often skip over. Sometimes we aren't fully open to what we say we want. Not because we're flawed, but because parts of us are still unsure, unready, carrying old fear, guilt, or doubt. You say you want deep connection, but you're still scared of being truly seen. You want prosperity, but somewhere inside you question if it's okay to have more. You say you want freedom, but part of you clings to comfort. This is emotional dissonance, not self-sabotage, just static in the signal. And like a radio between stations, it delivers only fragments, echoes, hints, but not the fullness of what's waiting for you. That's why clarity doesn't come from thinking more. It comes from feeling truer, from doing the inner work to bring your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and expectations into harmony. That's when the signal locks in. That's when calling something in becomes inevitable. Because the universe doesn't respond to surface words, it responds to energetic truth, the vibration beneath the smile, the tone beneath the thought, the feeling in your nervous system. When all of that aligns, the shift is instant. You stop waiting for signs and start moving in step with them. You're no longer pleading for motion, you are the movement. And what once felt distant starts arriving with ease, because your field becomes magnetic, resonant, a match for everything you once had to fight for. But you only get there when your energy speaks in unison. That's why this path has taken time. You haven't just been waiting, you've been tuning. You've been building a new signal, a new identity. One that doesn't just hope for miracles, but holds space for them. One that doesn't just wish for love, but feels worthy of receiving it. One that doesn't just dream of abundance, but trusts it as natural. Your desires are holy, but your soul understands something your mind forgets. Readiness isn't about doing, it's about being energetically congruent. That's why the timing has been exact. Not aligned with your calendar, but with your frequency. And while your mind asks, when will it happen? Your soul replies, when you remember who you truly are. And you are remembering in the way you breathe, in the questions you're asking, in the way you've begun to challenge your old limits. Because something deep within knows you weren't born to chase miracles. You were born to become the space they flow into. You were born to embody the truth that once your energy aligns, your reality follows. So don't let the quiet fool you. Don't let the waiting shake you. The signal is almost tuned. And soon, what once felt far will become undeniable. Not because you forced it, but because you finally matched it. Because right now, you're becoming someone who no longer waits for signs, but is one. Who no longer chases alignment, but embodies it. Who no longer begs the future, but vibrates it into now. So the only question that remains is this. If you've come this far, if your soul resonated with every word, then ask yourself, are you truly ready to become the version of you who no longer waits to feel worthy, aligned, or abundant because they already are? Or are you just flirting with the idea of transformation, hoping the outside will change before you do? Because this moment, it's not just another scroll, it's a mirror. And it's asking, will you go back to sleep or rise into who you were always meant to be? The shift isn't coming. You are the shift. And now, it's your move.